All right, we're live. We're alive. Fantastic. So let's get crack-a-lackin'. I've helped over 200 people become millionaires, and I built a $40 million online business myself. My name is Dan Henry. I am the founder. Whoop, whoop. You guys hear me? Yes, yes. Let me know if you can hear me. All right, great. Let me start again. I've helped 200 people become millionaires. Blech. It's part of being live. All right. 21 people, 7. Good. Guys, let me know where you're popping in from. I'm recording the intro to the video so that I can make it a real video later. Hey, what's up? All right. I got some good stuff for you guys today. So I've helped over 200 people become millionaires, and I built a $40 million online business myself. My name is Dan Henry. I'm the founder of GetClients.com. And in this video, I'm going to show you why some online businesses absolutely print money and others collect dust. And it actually has nothing to do with what you sell or how much it costs. And if you don't learn what I'm going to show you in this video, you're going to spend the next year watching other people who do know this absolutely crush it while you still wonder why people don't want to buy your stuff. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you guys some frameworks here, some stuff that's going to help you find your $1 million offer so that you can crush it this upcoming year. And then we're going to do Q&A. All right, so I see we got people from the Netherlands, Moscow, Tampa. Oh, that's my old stomping ground. St. Pete, yeah. All right, and you guys can hear me all right? If so, let's get crack-a-lackin'. All right. And if you guys got Q&A, I'm going to take it at the end. So that'll give you an opportunity. Happy to answer your questions. I'm live right now in studio, as you guys can see. Boom, boom, boom. And I got my whiteboard here. This is going to be an awesome video. All right. So here's the biggest lie that's ever been told about making money online, growing a business, literally anything when it comes to business. The biggest lie is you need a unique, never been done before offer. You do not need a unique offer. That is a complete lie. That's a total lie. Someone made that up. Total bullshit. You don't need a unique offer. You need a unique explanation. So let me show you what I mean. In business, there are only 3 markets. All right? 3 markets. I'll use a better marker here. So in business, there are only 3 markets. There is health, wealth, and happiness. Now, what that means is that you are either selling how to lose weight, how to fix some sort of medical issue, how to prevent a medical issue, longevity, something like that, or you're selling how to make money, how to save money, or you're selling happiness, which is how to improve your relationships, how to be more confident, how to perhaps save your marriage, how to find a girlfriend, how to find love after 40. These are all offers that are in sub-markets of these markets. So you will always have a sub-market. Now, your offer is going to fall into one of these 3 markets. If it doesn't, then you sell something weird, like how to become a professional basketball player if you're a midget. Okay, like I can't help you sell that offer. That's weird. Okay, but as long as your offer is not fully weird, then you fall into one of these 3 markets. So for instance, if you sell weight loss, skincare, longevity, fitness, or biohacking, you're in health. If you sell business, crypto, taxes, how to get more leads, investing, real estate, you're in wealth. And any sort of marriage, parenting, dating, happiness, or self-improvement offers, you're in the happiness market. And the point here is there are no unique offers. There are only unique explanations. So I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. In the early 2000s, there was two companies. So we'll call it company A and company B. Now, these companies sold a budgeting app. So like how to budget your money. Now, both of them had lots of money in venture capital behind them. They had resources. The first company got 100 customers. So they got about 100 customers. In other words, they literally failed. They completely failed. The other company got 1 million customers and they succeeded. Now, the first company, even though they both sold the same thing, had a very different message than the second company. The first company said, we will help you budget better. Now, the second company, what they said was very different. They said, your bank is secretly ripping you off. We'll show you how much they're stealing. Now, this is a much different message. Same offer, different explanation. And as a result, that company went parabolic. It's called mint.com. So as you can see, it's not about what you sell, because you all sell the same stuff. Like if everybody right now in the chat literally told me what you sell, you will see the same offers. Tell me what you sell in the chat. Like just put in the chat what you sell and you will notice it's all the same shit. So like stop worrying about having a unique offer or a unique business and start worrying about explaining your business differently. The explanation is everything. So I have sat in rooms that, because I've built a $40 million personal brand, I've got access to those rooms, whereas most people would not have access to. And I've sat with $1 million marketers, 8-figure marketers, and 9-figure marketers, people who either owned businesses or controlled businesses that did millions and millions of dollars on the internet. And I will tell you that nobody is sitting here talking about coming up with something new and inventive. They're talking about the same offers. They're just talking about different ways to market it. In fact, I know one guy, he's done over 100 million in sales on the internet, and he doesn't have any of his own products. What he goes and does is he finds someone with a normal everyday product who's got their operations down, who's got fulfillment down, and then he finds them, and the one thing he looks for is they suck at marketing. They're not able to get more sales, but they got everything else down. And so he does the marketing and he says, look, if I can double your business, which for him is like, not, you can do that in 30 days, not even. If I can double your business, I get 50% of the company. And they go, well, sure, right? So he goes in, he does great marketing. He doubles their business. He gets 50% of the company. And now he's got a company that all he has to do is do the marketing for. They're taking care of everything else and he's printing money. And what is he actually doing? He's going in to the same boring product or service that everybody else sells, and he's just creating a better explanation, putting it out into the market, ads, social media, etc., and he's winning. Because you don't have unique offers, you have unique explanations. So I'll give you an example. Years ago, I had a client named Laurel Porty. She paid for a VIP day with me. It's where a client spends the whole day with me and I help map out their whole strategy for their business. And she sold literally the same thing everybody else sold. How to do Facebook ads. I mean, how many people sell how to do Facebook ads? Now, she had an agency and then she decided to sell like mentorship and, you know, like digital products. And again, a gazillion people sell digital products on how to do Facebook ads. And so we sat and I figured out that the problem was not what she sold. The problem was that it didn't sound unique. It didn't sound special. So in working with her, I came up with this idea of framing it as, look, her audience was not people who wanted to spend thousands and thousands of dollars a day on ads. It was small business owners that just wanted to spend a little bit of money, but actually get results. So she came up with this concept and we called it the $5 a day method. And it was how to spend $5 a day on ads and get results. And so she came up with this framework. And I said, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to create a program called Lean on Laurel. So you're just going to do 2 calls a week and you're just going to help them. That's it. There's going to be nothing else. You're just going to have people come on, bring up their ad campaigns and help them. And she wanted to charge, I think it was like a couple $100 a month. I said, no, you're going to charge $2,000 a month. And she didn't believe me at first, but eventually I got her to raise her prices to $2,000 a month. And she has now, last I checked with her, she has, it's either 50 or 100 people in that. I don't remember, but either way, that's a lot of money. She has made millions of dollars since that day. And she's now one of the most respected people in the industry. Not because she sold something unique. Everybody sells how to do Facebook ads. How many gurus have you seen try to sell that? It's because we sat down together and came up with a better explanation for what she does. And that's why she's respected, and that's why she makes millions of dollars. It's the message, not the offer. So I'll give you an example from my own business. Years ago, probably at least 2 years ago, there was a highly saturated offer in the business consulting space on how to do paid challenges. Like every guru was trying to sell how to do paid challenges. And they were also talking about webinars, paid webinars, etc. Now, for me personally, webinars and sales presentations are near and dear to my heart because it's what made me the majority of the 40 million I've generated in my own business. And I'm very, very good at them. I've had 2 webinars that have done over 10 million. And I looked at the market and I thought, man, the information out there really sucks, especially when they were talking about paid webinars, paid challenges. And I wanted to create a product that would do it better. And of course, I wanted that to be my next product so we had revenue for the company. And so I came up with this idea called paid presentations. Now, everybody else was calling it webinars, paid workshops, or paid challenges. I called it paid presentations, something different than anybody else had used. And because it sounded different, it sounded unique. And I used a different explanation, different analogies, and I approached it from a different angle. And when we launched that offer, we did $800,000 the first month we launched it, and we've done 3 or 4 million total on that offer. So let me show you some of the ways I made such a saturated offer sound unique. So I'll give you one example. Here's an analogy I use when I was explaining paid presentation. I said, when's the last time you saw a movie trailer that you saw something in the first 5 minutes you didn't like, and so you didn't buy a ticket? Probably all the time, right? Like you probably see movie trailers all the time that you don't like, so you don't buy a ticket, you don't go see the movie. But how many times have you bought a ticket, went to the movie theater, got your popcorn, got your drink, saw something you didn't like in the first 5 minutes, and then left the movie theater? Never. Why? Because you paid. You paid to be there. People that pay attention. And people that pay attention pay more. So when I did that analogy, it's something people hadn't heard of before. It's a way of thinking people haven't thought before. And I called it something people hadn't called it before, paid presentations. And that's how I was able to do crazy numbers on an offer that everybody thought was saturated. If you're watching this, you've probably been hit with that offer 5 million times. But in that presentation that I did, I very rarely said the word webinar or challenge. I said paid presentation. So give you another example, the Dollar Shave Club, okay? So they were selling razors. Now, how much more saturated can you get than razors? Like it's shaving razors, super saturated market. They did not create a unique product. What they did was create a unique explanation. So they came out with a commercial that was very entertaining. It was honestly pretty hilarious. And they said, you're not paying for the razor. The razor costs almost nothing to make. You're paying these companies like Gillette and Shtick and all this. You're paying for their marketing. So we're going to sell you a razor that's cheaper, not because it's less quality, but because we don't have these big corporate marketing budgets. So we pass the savings on to you. That was their whole idea. And so they don't have the overhead. So that's why you're paying less. When they heard that explanation, it made sense. And Dollar Shave Club became massively, massively successful. Okay. So I'll give you another couple of examples that I wrote down here on my phone. Let's say you go to a restaurant, 2 restaurants, and they serve the exact same chicken dish. One menu says grilled chicken, $18. The other one says free range heritage chicken, slow grilled over oak, finished with our signature herb butter, $32. Same chicken, one sells out and one doesn't look too appetizing. So you see, it's the explanation, even though it charged more. That's why higher end restaurants actually make more money than lower end restaurants, because they take more time to make the food sound good. Let's say you saw a listing for a job and one said administrative assistant needed. And the other one said, be the right hand to a CEO changing an industry. Same job, one gets 50 applications, one gets 500 applications. Fiji water versus a generic bottle of water. Same H2O, same molecules. One sells for $4, the other sells for 50 cents. The difference is not the water, it's the story on the label, okay? So that right there is really the main idea I want to get across to you. It's the explanation, not the offer. Remember, people do not buy good products, they buy products that sound good, all right? So let me show you 4 things that make a winning offer, all right? This is 4 signs you know you got the offer right, or at least the offer explanation right. So, number 1, people get it instantly. People get it. When you explain it, they get it. They have to get it. It can't be like, what? How can you, like, what does that mean? Like, can you explain that more? You know, I don't really get it. No, they have to immediately get it. Number 2, the cost of not buying must be greater than the cost of buying. What it costs them not to buy your offer must exceed, at least in their mind, the cost of them buying the offer. Also, number 3, trust. They must trust you, plus they must trust the actual product, plus they must trust them. That's a big one people do not realize. People often do not buy products because they don't trust themselves to use the product, even if they trust you. And number 4, sales are easy. When sales are easy and you are not struggling to sell, struggling to get people to pay your worth, that's when you know you've nailed it. So people get it. They have seen that the cost of not doing it is far greater than the cost of doing it or buying it. They trust you, they trust the product, and they trust themselves in order to use the product and get results. And sales for you are easy. These are the 4 ways you know you got it. So I'm going to show you a little bit more about trust in a second, because this is huge. And I'll cover more about why it's important to get them to trust themselves, because most people think you just have to trust your product and you. But that is such a mistake, because most people don't buy because you suck or because they think your product sucks. It's because they suck. So let me see here. Maybe I should just cover that now. Yeah, let me cover that now. Makes more sense to cover that now, huh? Yeah, okay. So I call this the trust triangle. So imagine a triangle, right? Now, this is you, okay? This is your product. And this is them. This is the actual customer. They got to trust you. They got to make sure that they feel that you're not a scammer, that you're a trustworthy person, that you've built a trustworthy business. They've got to trust your product, meaning they need to know that this product works. But most importantly, they got to trust themselves. Now, here's what's going to happen. If you sell a weight loss product, they got to say to themselves, what am I going to use this? Am I going to go to the gym and do the workout? Am I going to follow the diet? If it's a service, right? Like, let's say you sell a marketing service and you're going to get a business more leads, they got to trust that they're going to actually follow up with the leads. I remember so many times back when I had a marketing agency, I would literally crush it for clients. I'd get them tons of leads. They wouldn't call the damn leads. And then they would say, hey, I don't want to continue because we're not making money. I'd be like, but here's all these leads I got you. Did you call them? And they'd be like, no, we didn't. Or, well, you know, this or that. So then what I started doing was I started doing a stipulation where you had to show that you actually called the leads. And I actually built an entire software out of it called 𝐈𝐦 that I partnered with some friends of mine on. And we actually had a multi-seven-figure exit to that company where people would get leads to their phone and it would constantly give them push notifications until they responded to the leads. That was how big of a problem it was. And so I fixed that in the agency, and then the agency did a lot better. But the point here is that in every market, unless you sell like a toothpick, there's going to be an objection that the person says, man, I really think this will work. I really trust this person, but I don't know if I have time. I don't know if I can put in the focus. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if it'll work for me. These are the things that will kill sales more than trusting your product. I got interviewed one time on Jordan Belfort's podcast. And Jordan Belfort is the guy that they based the movie The Wolf of Wall Street on. And he has this classic thing. He says, you know, most people don't buy because they don't trust you, your company, or your product. And this is very, like, he has sold thousands of sales trainings to thousands of companies. He has this thing called straight line persuasion. He's been doing it for decades, right? So this belief has been instilled, and I agree with this belief. But what I would add to it is that, especially in today's day and age, where you have so much competition, you have people who are so distracted with social media, and, you know, I mean, my God, the average CEO today gets like 200 communications. In the 70s, they got like 7 per week. So like, people are just way more distracted today. People have way more going on. There's more drama. You know, back in the 50s, family structures were a lot tighter. Today, families are breaking up every 2 seconds. Kids are sniffing bath salts. I mean, what the hell is a bath salt? Like, you can't get high enough off of meth, cocaine, and heroin. You got to create new drugs. There's a lot going on in the world today. And so people just have less confidence in themselves to use the products they buy. You have to motivate them to use the product. And where you will see a massive uptick in sales is when you are able to effectively motivate people to achieve their dreams and fix their problems and obtain their goals. And your product is the thing that's going to help them obtain those goals, but not if they don't believe in themselves. So most of selling is getting people to believe in themselves. It's a wacky world. All right. All right. So now I want to show you the market matrix. So this one's big. And I'll take questions here shortly. Don't you guys worry. All right. All right. So this is super important. I want to make sure you guys don't sell something stupid. All right. There is, in fact, what I call the market matrix. So I want you to imagine a big matrix here. Now we're going to divide this into 4 quadrants. All right. Now these quadrants represent where you want to be. Okay. So let's say that on this axis, this is a low market size. All right. Because that's what we're talking about. This right here is the market size. This is low. All right. This is high this way, right? This is small and this is large. All right. Over here is price. So high price, low price, small market size, large market size. Now, here is what we call a volume play. All right. Now, a volume play is where you have a very large market, but your price is low. And that's okay, because what ends up happening is because there's so many people to serve, you end up making up for the low price because you just have such a large market. And by the way, we call that the total addressable market, or TAM. Total addressable market, the total amount of people that you can actually market to. So if you market birth control, well, how many women are there? Okay, you're not going to market that to men. What are men going to do with it? So total addressable market is the total amount of people you can actually market and sell to. So if you are in a large TAM, or market size, then you have to sell a lot of things at a low price. Or you can do what's called a premium play. Now, the premium play is where you sell something for a high price, even though the market is small. But it's okay, because since you're charging a high price, it makes up for the small amount of people in the market. Now, what's interesting about this is that you will find if someone has a lot of money and a lot of pain, they're generally going to be less of those people. If somebody has a little pain and a little money, there's going to be more of those people. So if you want to attack a market with money, there's going to be less of them. And so you're going to have to charge more. If you want to go after a market that has a ton of people in it, most of the time, they have less money. Either one of these will work. However, what you do not want is what I call the death zone. Now, the death zone is here. This is where you have a low price and a small market. If you are trying to sell something that is cheap and the total addressable market is very low, well, you're screwed, okay? You're screwed 6 ways a Sunday. Who's that British girl that just got kicked out of Bali or whatever? What's that girl's name that got kicked out of Bali? Babe? You guys know what I'm talking about? Bonnie Blue. You're screwed more than Bonnie Blue, okay? Because you have very few people to market to and you're not charging a lot. You might as well just give up. Don't do that. Bad idea, all right? Now, over here in the top right, we have what's called the jackpot. And this is very rare. This is incredibly rare. And what this is you have a ton of people in your total addressable market, a large market size, and you can charge a high price. This is very, very difficult to find. It's very rare, but if you find it, you can make a ton of money. This is why if you're like a landlord and you own a lot of properties, it's easy to make money because everybody needs to rent properties. And right now, rental prices are super high. So technically that's a jackpot market, but you also have to have a lot of money to own a lot of properties. So for me personally, I have made $40 million. And when I first started in my career, I went after a more volume play. I had about a $1,000 offer. That was my highest offer. We did about $10 million for that. And then I switched to more of a premium play. So this was helping people start businesses, and this was helping existing business owners grow or start higher value businesses. Okay, and this was the premium play. And I've done the rest of my 40 million here. Okay, that includes $50,000 consulting days that I do regularly, and it's been a really great business. But what I did not do, and I've always been smart enough to not do, is go into the death zone. You don't want to be into the death zone. All right? All right, what else do I got for you guys before we do Q&A? Let's see here. I need to get my desk in order. One thing I'll caution you on is the right explanation in the wrong market quadrant will still lose. So be very careful of what quadrant that you want to play in. All right, so now you might ask, how do you actually create a winning explanation? Well, let me show you. While I awkwardly move all my stuff off my desk and have to flip this paper. Y'all are gonna have to wait for that. And I'm gonna really have to figure out a new way to do that so that it doesn't take 10 minutes to do that. So let me do it here. Switch to the, there we go. All right. All right, so how do we craft a winning explanation or winning marketing? So LaCroix, as recommended by Sam Ovens. Thank you, sir. All right, so here's how you create better marketing than everyone else. All you have to do is do one of these four things better than your competitors. So the first one is E, entertaining. So if you can make your marketing more entertaining than your competitors, you're automatically going to come to the top of the pack. This is what Dollar Shave Club did. They made it very entertaining. All right. A lot of these companies will do funny ads. The what's that? The poo-poo thing. The what's that called? The poo-poo stool, or the thing that helps you shit better. What is that? Not porta potty. What the hell is the name of that thing? Squatty potty. The squatty potty. Super entertaining. Super entertaining. Okay, and that's why they did very, very well. So Dollar Shave Club, the commercials were hilarious, fun to hear about. People share entertaining things. Personalize. The next one is personalize. I mentioned Laurel Porty, who we helped create an amazing personal brand for an offer that's done her millions of dollars. It was personalized because her audience did not want to scale Facebook ads. They wanted to run little campaigns, spend a little bit of money, and still make sales. So she came up with her $5 a day method. And when you call it $5 a day method, it sounds like, oh, that's made just for me. So you got to know your market. You got to know your who you're speaking to, and you got to create labels and language that sounds personalized for them. All right. So next, it needs to be irrefutable. Irrefutable. All right. So it's got to be logic that they cannot argue with. So Mint.com, they said, look, your bank is stealing from you. Like almost everybody in the world who has a bank would agree that their bank is stealing from them. So they use irrefutable elements in their marketing. So the customer they can't argue with them. So you don't want to try to convince a customer of anything. You want to take what they already believe and align it with your message. That's the key. Dollar Shave Club. You're paying for marketing, not the razor. When you hear that, you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. The movie theater analogy that I told you about earlier, everybody would agree with that. Everybody. When they're nodding because they have to agree with you, that's when you win. And finally, number 4 is clear. This one, if you can just make your marketing more clear than your competitors, in other words, more simple, you win. Because most people massively overcomplicate. They just massively overcomplicate their message to the market. Massively. So for instance, if you use jargon, if you're talking about features, if you're talking about complicated methodology or why, nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. You need to make it simple. How do you think Donald Trump got elected? The guy gets elected, then he goes to jail, then he gets elected again. Why? Whether you agree with him or not, you know what you don't do? You're not confused by his policies. Hey, how are you going to deal with immigration? I'm going to build a wall. Okay, okay. He's going to build a wall. Like nobody else could explain how they would deal with it. I'll build a wall. You could agree with that. You could not agree with that. But what's important is you understand it. Okay. $5 a day to grow your business for Laurel Porty. Very, very clear. The clearest explanation wins. So here's how you use what I call the epic pitch to absolutely smash your competitors. All you have to do is hit one of these better than your competition, and you're going to win. You're going to be doing pretty good. If you hit two, you're going to dominate. If you hit all four, you become the only logical choice in your market, and sales become effortless. You don't need to beat the offer. You need to beat the explanation. And remember, you don't need a better offer. You just need a better explanation. All right. So we're going to get to Q&A here in a second. I got to give you guys something to ask questions about. And look, one thing I want to just make sure you guys understand trust, because if the customer does not trust themselves, they're not going to buy your product. If it's weight loss, you got to make them believe that they can follow through. If it's marriage coaching, you got to make them believe that they can improve it, that they're capable. If it's a business program, you got to make them believe that they can implement it. The explanation has to motivate them to trust themselves. You got to make them feel so good about the offer that they don't even think about a guarantee because they're that bought into it. Remember, they don't doubt your offer, they doubt themselves. You solve that, you're going to crush. All right, so before we get to Q&A, which we will hear in about 30 seconds, let me give you guys a little exercise that you can do. So number one, here's your homework. Number one, stop trying to create a unique offer. Number two, focus all your energy on explanation. And number three, ask, how can you make it epic? How can you take what your competitors are doing and make it a little bit more entertaining? Make it a little bit more personalized. Make it a little bit more irrefutable, or make it a little bit more clear. Or if you really want to crush, make it all four. That is your homework. All you have to do is write that stuff down, ideate, and you'll start to have massive clarity on how you can create marketing and a message that will help you nail that $1 million offer so that you can start living your best life, so that you can start living a much better life than you do today. Because when you make money, you get these little things called freedom tokens. And those freedom tokens are very useful when you want to live a life of freedom. All right, so what you can do is write down how you currently explain your offer and make it either more entertaining, more personalized, more irrefutable, or more clear, and just start saying that. And I guarantee you, you'll get a better response. All right. Okay, we're going to get to Q&A. One thing I'll say is, if this was helpful to you and you would like to do it yourself, you're more than welcome to. But if you would like some help creating a message to the market and creating a single presentation that does all of this in just one shot, we have some options where we can work with you through mentorship, where you can work directly with me, or my team can even write you a winning sales presentation you can use to grow your business. I'll leave a link in the description where you can apply to check out more about what we have to offer you. Otherwise, please keep enjoying these videos and don't forget to subscribe. So let's go ahead and do some Q&A. And if you've already asked a Q&A, please pop it in the chat again so I can see it. All right. Let's see here. So guys, a really good way, I'm gonna look here at the, chat here. A really good way to say my question is. If you say my question is going to help me help you, because there's some fragmented questions here. Okay. Oh, your background video setup is fantastic. Thank you. I worked really hard on it. I mean, literally, I invest in content. This is why I spent so much money on this studio. Number one, I wanted to force myself to do more content. And if I spent all this money on the studio, I knew I would. But also because this is what makes me money. Why wouldn't I not invest in the thing that makes me the most money? Every time I start yapping on camera, people give me money. So why would I not do more of that? Crazy thought, right? All right. So the question is, how can I sell my Excel course that is designed for beginners or self-taught users who lack confidence in Excel, yet need it so much? So in summary, the question is, how do you sell $1 million worth of a Microsoft Excel course? So there was actually a guy, this is how I got started and I became a millionaire. I read an article about a teacher that was getting paid 30, 40 grand a year. And then he created a Microsoft Excel course and he did $1 million from that. And I thought, wow, same skill as the other teachers that only made 30 grand a year, but he packaged it in a different way as an online course. And he made a ton of money. So here's how I would answer that. Switch it around. You're saying, I am selling a Microsoft Excel course. Invert that. I am helping solving a problem using Microsoft Excel. Because if you just teach Microsoft Excel, there's no pain or problem being solved here. People don't want to learn Microsoft Excel. They want to solve a problem using Microsoft Excel. So if you want to be able to get people to buy it at a higher rate for more money and more easily, they don't buy Excel, they buy solving a problem with Excel. There's something on their minds that they want to solve. There's some reason that they want to use Microsoft Excel. You got to find that reason, or at least the most profitable one, and sell that. So if, for instance, like, let's say you had several people, right? So let's say you had problems, okay? So here's a list of problems that Microsoft Excel or any offer could solve. If one problem is, let's say, budgeting, right? Like they have a monthly budget for their personal life, and they want to learn how to save money with Microsoft Excel, that's a problem. But let's say it's business expenses, okay? Well, now that's a little bit higher value because businesses have more money, they spend more money. But what if it's something like for instance, we just built in Microsoft Excel, we built a sales tracker. So when somebody goes to getclients.com and they apply to work with us, we have multiple traffic sources that come in from multiple places: YouTube, Instagram, email, etc. So we built this dashboard in Microsoft Excel that allows us to see in one shot historically where we're actually getting the most sales. So we export that data from our other softwares like Hyros and whatnot, and we pop it into this big dashboard, and it gives us a visual on it. So it allows us to make really good business decisions. So if I see I'm not making any money from this type of content, but I'm making a ton of money from this type of content, well, I'm going to do more of this type of content, less than this type. So in this particular case, we made like a sales dashboard, okay? Now, all three of these things are all using Excel, but this problem is worth, this problem is worth probably a little bit. This problem is worth a bit more, and this problem is worth a lot more, all right? And so in this particular case, this is going to be easier to sell because there's a lot of companies that need help understanding where their sales are coming from, and they will pay for this because this is ultimately going to solve a problem that makes them a lot more money. So you're not selling Microsoft Excel, you're selling how to solve a problem. Oh, by the way, you're going to use Microsoft Excel to do that. Okay, that is how you sell more of a Microsoft Excel course. And you can say, well, yeah, but Dan, why don't they just use a software to do that? I'm so glad you asked. So you could pitch it like this. Listen, if you're trying to improve your sales and understand where your marketing efforts are coming from, you might be tempted to use a fancy software, but here's the problem with that. That's going to cost you a lot of money. It's going to be another expense and drain on your business. You're going to have to learn that software. If anything in that software changes, you're going to have to learn it again. So now this is becoming a weight on your business rather than something that's going to allow your business to float. And so this is why we keep it simple and use Microsoft Excel for everything. In just 72 hours, we can teach you how to build a simple dashboard for your business, built completely in Microsoft Excel, so you have total and absolute control over it. You control what changes you make to the dashboard. You control everything, and it doesn't cost you any money to maintain it. It's just Microsoft Excel. This is how you become sovereign in your business. You do not become controlled by big companies that force you to use their expensive softwares, that force you to play by their rules, and that if they decide one day that they're going to do something differently, they force you to adhere to that. You can take control of your business by using a simple software to build a custom dashboard for your business, and I can show you how to do it in just 72 hours. That right there is how you would pitch it and overcome those objections, show people like, oh, wait a minute, that does make sense. So this is how I would sell a Microsoft Excel course. I wouldn't sell a Microsoft Excel course. I would sell people who are maybe interested in Microsoft Excel, but they're interested to solve a problem, and I would focus on the cost of not solving the problem versus the cost of whatever it is you're charging for your program. That's how I would do it. All right, what other questions do we have here? Oh, wow, there's a lot of questions. Okay, all good. Let me, if I hand you the keys. Where do you find the analogies and stories and all this? Well, we've been doing this for many, many years. And you can find stories and analogies that you can use virtually everywhere. They're in movies, they're in TV shows, they're in historical events. Anything can be used to, like, I'll give you an example. Okay, I'll give you an example. This is how analogies can make you millions of dollars. So this one analogy that I'm about to show you has made me a lot of money. And what an analogy can do, ultimately, is show your customers a different way to think. And when they think that different way, now they're open to buying, okay? So how about this? How about I just do a short pitch from my product using an analogy so you can see it done? Would that be fair? Sound good? Okay, so we have multiple programs. One of the programs that we have is a mastermind that's very centralized on sales presentations. So in this mastermind, we create you a sales presentation, and then we mentor you for a full year on how to use that sales presentation to massively grow your business. So one thing I'll say is this. Let's say this is you, okay? And you want to grow your business. So over here is a bag of cash, all right? Maybe there's 10, 20 grand in this cash. And this cash is 20 miles away, all right? So this is 20 miles. Now, in the opposite direction, there is a car. Now, this car is 1 mile away. Here's the question. Would you walk, let's call this option A, and this is option B. Would you walk 20 miles to this bag of cash? Or would you walk 1 mile in the opposite direction, get in the car, and drive to the cash in just a few minutes? Would you choose A or would you choose B? A or B? Now, as you can see, most of you are choosing B. All of you are choosing B. Why? Because any moron would say B. Because look, if you walk 1 mile, you get in the car, now you got a car. You can get there real quick. But hang on a second. Aren't you, at least temporarily, walking in the opposite direction of what you want in order to get it faster? Of course you are. Because sometimes in life, you gotta, for a short time, walk away from what you want to ultimately get what you want faster. I'll say that again. Sometimes in life, you gotta temporarily walk away from what you want to ultimately get what you want faster. And so look, you might be thinking, I don't know if I should build a sales presentation. I could just close deals in the DM. I could just cold DM, cold call. I could just run ads to an application or a short video. Yeah, you could. And you could probably pick up a few sales doing that. Or you could take a little time and you could craft a 1-hour presentation that literally introduces your audience to a fantastic explanation, overcomes all their objections, builds trust, builds connections, and then takes them to the sale. And now you get higher quality people, more of them, and for a higher price. And they don't question you. Why? Because they went through this very solid presentation. Now, my team can build that for you. And it takes us about 10 to 14 days to build the full presentation. So if you can temporarily walk a mile in the opposite direction and get the car, and the car in this case is your sales presentation that we will write for you and will help you with your offer, your messaging, everything. If you can work with us for a short time to nail your offer, nail your messaging, and build a sales presentation around it, do you not think that you would get to what you want ultimately a lot faster? Why? Because you are obtaining leverage. The car is leverage. The sales presentation and the winning offer messaging is leverage. If you're interested, you can go to getclients.com. I'll leave a link in the description. Click that link. It's literally a 10-second application. We'll reach out to you and tell you about the options. We have little Google Docs. We'll send it to you. You can read what's in it and decide if it's a fit. Okay? I'll leave a link in the description. So, and by the way, that's a real pitch. You're more than welcome to check the description. But you see how I use that analogy, okay? So you might say, well, where are these things? Like, so for me, I constantly look for simple things in life. I look for metaphors. I look for analogies. I look for like documentaries. Like, for instance, one time I saw this documentary with Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett was talking about how, Warren Buffett's one of the richest people in the world, right? And at the beginning of this documentary called Becoming Buffett, he was talking about how every morning he drives to McDonald's and he gets McDonald's, okay? Which is, I don't know why he's not dead by now doing that. But then he goes to a school and he talks to children. And he says, if somebody gave you a car and it was the only car you could ever have, how well would you take care of that car? And all the kids were like, oh, we take care of it really well. He's like, yeah, because it's the only one you'll ever have. He said, your body and your mind is the only body and mind you'll ever have, so take care of it. Now, is that good advice? Yes, it is good advice. But it's a bit contradictory, because if he stuck to his advice, he would never be going to McDonald's every day and eating, right? So the truth is that you don't want to rely on people for wisdom. You want to rely on wisdom, because knowing something and then consistently doing it are two different things. The wisdom is out there. It's the consistency that is going to help you actually make use of the wisdom. And one reason why I have the business that I have is because I know that if I could teach you how to find analogies, I could teach you how to find metaphors, I could teach you how to be like how to write amazing marketing. And many of you might actually do it, but a lot of you will get distracted. You will have life things going on. You will second guess yourself, etc. So that's why we have an option to just build it for you so that you don't mess it up. And I feel like that these days is a better way to serve. So again, link in the description. So you see, like I just look for stuff, okay? I just look for stuff. And one exercise you can do is you can just look around at, okay, like this LaCroix. Like this right here is a bottle of LaCroix, all right? It is a sparkling water drink. It's got a really cool label. It's got a really cool name, LaCroix. Now, this is much more expensive, at least here in Dubai, than your average sparkling water. And it's because of how it's packaged, okay? There's also a sparkling water here called 𝐈'𝐦, E-I-N, I believe, and it's super expensive. But again, it's packaged well, okay? So I'll see this and I'll just think in my mind, like, I'll ask myself why. Like, why is this more expensive? Oh, it must be because it's packaged well. And then I'll think, oh, wow, that's a good analogy I can tell. Then I'll go and I'll use like ChatGPT and I'll say, hey, give me an example of 10 products that cost more because they're packaged better, but aren't necessarily better. And then it'll give me this big list. And then I'll say, tell me the story behind this list. And I did this one time and it came up with the story of Patron. And we sell a 2-day personal branding intensive. So this is probably one that I would use to sell that. But the guy that started Patron, which is now considered a premium liquor that people pay $6, $7, $8 a shot for, he was about to go out of business because at the time, Patron was a well liquor. It was cheap liquor and nobody wanted it. He was about to go out of business. So he took the last little bit of money that he had and he went out and he bought much nicer looking bottles. And he literally sat there by hand and poured his tequila from the old crappy looking bottle into this new crystal looking bottle. And he changed the name on the label to Patron, okay? And then he went back to all these bars and restaurants with the same liquor. And he said, hey, this is a premium liquor. It's called Patron. Look at the fancy bottle. And they all wanted it and they all bought it. And now there are millions of people that overpay for crappy tequila, not because it's better, but because it looks better. And see, how you package a product determines how successful it will be. And when it comes to you being the leader of your business, that's called a personal brand. If you're selling candy, it could be the wrapper, but you are the wrapper for your business. So when you build an amazing personal brand and you package yourself and what you do properly, people will seek you out more. You'll become more in demand and people will value you more because of how you've packaged what you do. All right. So again, I could just go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. I just look for stuff. Okay. So that's essentially how you do it. And you get the reps and you just tell a story every day, even if it sucks, or ask ChatGPT for some stories that, you know, hey, why is this way? Can you give me more examples of why this is this way? Okay. This is some of the ways you can come up with great analogies that makes people see differently so they buy your stuff. Okay, I have a question from Alan. My question is, profitable Google Ads business. So you have a profitable Google Ads business, course, and agency, but you're no longer aligned with being the Google Ads guy. You're 10 years into it. How do I reinvent without losing revenue? So first thing I would ask is, why are you out of alignment with it? Why don't you want it? Now, whenever I ask business owners this, they usually say something like, I'm bored, or I'm burnt out, okay? Or I want to do something new, right? These are generally what I hear. So if you're bored, first of all, you got to realize that boring businesses scale. If you're bored, that's good. It means things are stable, okay? If you try to grow, you're going to push things into the unstable zone, because whenever you try to grow a business, you reduce stability because you're trying new things. So coming up with new and inventive ways to market that, or to a new market, or with a different problem, is going to create a little bit of instability in your business. You're not going to be bored. Number two, you're burnout. If you're burnout, it's because you're not having fun in your business. And again, one of the ways I keep having fun in my business is I love making content to grow my business. I have fun making the content. Like, for instance, tomorrow, or if I have the energy after this live, I'm doing this 2-character reel where I like pretend to be 2 people and I change my shirt, and it's going to be like real funny and edgy, and I just have fun with that, right? So what I love about marketing is you can have fun with it, regardless of what you sell. And the third one is you want to do something else. So again, if you want to do something else, it's probably because you have the first 2 things as an issue. And I would say, if you really want to do something else and your passion has now moved somewhere else, what can you do to exit the business and give yourself some resources and assets you could use to do something else? Or what can you do to elevate or widen out what you've done? So for instance, there's other offers there, right? Like, just because you've used Google ads to help grow businesses doesn't mean you don't know about other aspects of businesses. So you could branch out into something else. You could, and one thing I always recommend is never name your brand after another brand. Don't say I'm the Facebook ads guy. Don't say I'm the Google ads guy. Because what happens if Google changes its name? What happens if Facebook decides they're going to not be in that business anymore? Now your whole brand is done. I would better say paid traffic guy, or I'm the discovery guy, right? Because like right now, what we're finding is that a lot of people are being discovered with ChatGPT, and it looks like they're going to be doing ChatGPT ads. And so that could be the next thing in the next year. And Google search, Google ads could be by the wayside. So try to de-brand your brand if it is attached to another brand. I one time had a course that was selling did millions of dollars. It was called Facebook Ads for Entrepreneurs. And Facebook sent me a letter and said, hey, you can't call it that. And I had to call it Funnels and Ads for Entrepreneurs, because the acronym that everybody called it was FAFE, F-A-F-E. And I'm like, crap, I got to come up with something that has the same acronym. So I called it Funnels and Ads for Entrepreneurs. And it was a really good program. Made about 10 million off of that. And then I reinvented it 3 times. First, it was called Facebook Ads for Entrepreneurs. Then it was called Funnels Ads for Entrepreneurs. And then I expanded it because at the time I was only serving people who wanted to grow their own business. So I expanded it to a biz op where I was like, hey, let me show you how to start a marketing agency using Facebook ads. So then I called that 30-day agency. And it was most of the same content, but I added a module for people who wanted to be their own marketing agency. And that was 30-day agency, how to start a profitable paid traffic agency in 30 days. And again, between those 3 names, that offer did about $10 million in sales. And then we switched to sold out courses, which I sold a course on how to sell courses, but I did 10 million with courses. Okay. And then that turned into digital millionaire coaching because I wanted to teach people how to create higher end products than just a course. And so again, you evolve as time goes on. So the answer is you're fine. There's nothing wrong here. You just have to evolve, and you have to evolve in the direction that you can serve the most. So, I look back at the 40 million I make and I say, well, how did I make the most of that money? I made it with sales presentations, with freaking webinars. So if I'm going to help businesses grow, for me, my most capable way of doing that is showing them how to build a winning sales presentation that'll scale their company. I mean, for the love of God, there was a company in the 1990s. It was a laundry detergent company that was doing $10 million a year. They hired a guy named Billy Mays to do an infomercial, a sales presentation, a freaking webinar. They just call it infomercials if it's on TV. 5 years later, the company's doing $100 million. That company's called OxyClean. I mean, literally, when you think of sales presentation and webinars, you only generally think of coaches and the course. But no, it's almost any business. How did timeshare create? Dude, timeshare companies make millions of dollars selling pieces of real estate. How do they do it? Sales presentations. A winning sales presentation will make any business go parabolic. What is a fantastic ad? Like the ad for Squatty Potty. What was that? That was a sales presentation. That's what it was. Okay? Mind Valley sold a $200 course and did hundreds of millions of dollars with cold traffic because they had a winning sales presentation. I know the guy that wrote that sales presentation. He's a good friend of mine. His name is Peter Kell. The dude geeks out on sales presentations. That's all he does. Okay? So that's how I know to grow a business. You give me a business. You give me a 60-minute script that converts, you can grow a business. Simple, easy. And you can grow it a lot faster than most people. That's why I love helping people do that, because it's the one thing I know. Like if you put a gun to my head, you said, dude, make $1 million in the next 60 days. The first thing I would do is sit down and craft a script for a 60-minute webinar immediately. I wouldn't even think about it. So that's what I do. So that's what I'm saying. Find what you are most capable in serving and build and elevate and evolve your brand around that. Let's see what else. All right, guys, it's scrolled down all the way. So I'm going to read at the bottom. If I missed your question, just pop another one in there. It's scrolled all the way down. I'm going to lose my spot. So, okay, so Alex says, if you were a 9-figure real estate developer, 1,000 plus verified transactions, 27 documented case studies, and wanted to launch a coaching offer, but absolutely invisible, zero following, how would you do it? Well, okay, so this is a question that, has always confused me a little bit. I wouldn't do it any different than I did it, because when I started out, like most people would consider me one of the, and I thank God that my life went this way, but most people would consider me one of the top influencers, or whatever you want to call it, in the business and marketing space. I delivered pizza for 7 years. Literally. So when I started, I had nothing either. I just started doing all the stuff that I told you, and it compounded. There is there's an interesting fact that if you take a penny and you double it every day for 30 days, you'll have like $5 million. That's called compounding interest, right? So if you craft a personal brand, you come up with a plan, and you start posting content, then it's going to compound, right? So first thing I would do is I would say, am I going to use YouTube or am I going to use Instagram? You can use both, but I would pick one. Right? So let's just say it was Instagram. I would go and I would find people in my space who, here's what you do. Go find the top 10 people who sell what you want to sell. Okay? Use the plugin Sort Feed to sort their reels by the most viral. You can click a little download button on each one of the reels and download their top 10 reels. So now if you have 10 of your competitors, with 10 of their top 10 reels, you got 100 reels. Go watch each reel. What's going to happen is very simple. Every video, every piece of content, is going to have three things. It's going to have a beginning, it's going to have a middle, and it's going to have an end. So this is going to be the hook. This is going to be the actual content. And then this is going to be the ask. They're going to ask something here, all right? Usually. So the hook, all you got to do is watch the hook and go, how can I model that hook? Essentially say the same hook, but put my own spin on it. Then you look at the content, and it's like, okay, what did that person say that I either could add to, could explain better, more entertaining, more personalized, more irrefutable, or more clear? Or what do I disagree with it about it that I could give my take on it? And then you have the ask. And the ask is generally going to be something like, hey, if you want additional resource, drop a keyword and boom. So here's what I mean by that. If I had a reel that did 600,000 views, it got 3,100 email leads, and it did $125,000 in sales within 30 days of getting those leads. And I was teaching analogies, right? So at the end of the video, I said, hey, if you would like a free Google Doc on 5 winning analogies you can model to increase your sales, comment the word analogy. Well, they would comment the word analogy. I'd have a little chat bot that would send them the document. And then we would just say like, hey, do you just want the free document, or would you like some help growing your business? And if they said we'd like some help, then we would send them to a paid webinar that we were doing. They went and they attended the webinar. They watched the webinar, or what I call a paid presentation. And then they bought into our mastermind or into one of our other services. And we did about 125 grand in sales. So like most of the people, like 80% of the people that saw that reel were new audience. They didn't know who I was. I got like, I don't know, 4,000, I don't remember, something 4,000 new followers or something from that. And again, these are new people coming into my world. So let's just say for a moment that you pop off one viral reel and it's your first reel. If that reel goes viral and there's nothing else on your Instagram or your YouTube, or you're not collecting leads and sending out emails to other content, well, then they're going to be like, okay, well, cool, that one reel was great, but there's nothing else out there. So they're not going to build a connection to you. They're not going to be educated on what you can do for them. And ultimately, you're not going to make a sale. So what's important to do is put out a lot of content, because even if most of it doesn't go viral, but it builds connection, it shows that you know what you're talking about, it gives value, the one video that does go viral, they're going to start looking at your stuff. And when they look at your stuff, they're going to start following you. They're going to watch binging. In fact, most of our clients that we get at getclients.com, they all say the same thing. They say, oh, I binged watched Dan's YouTube channel before I applied, or before I bought, or before I attended this presentation, okay? And one thing we do whenever we do a webinar or a presentation, I always will send an email out, and I'll be like, hey, here's your homework to make sure you get the most out of this presentation. Go watch these 5 YouTube videos that I created. So that you come in more prepared. So again, the more content you have out there, the more trust and connection you're going to build, and the easier sales are going to be, okay? And if you want to package something into an offer, it's simple. You got to take what you know how to do, and you got to make a meal. So for instance, if you're a real estate developer, let's say you have a kitchen, and in this kitchen is all the stuff you know how to do as a result of being a real estate developer. Well, that's going to be a lot of ingredients. Now, if I said I want spaghetti and meatballs, what are you going to grab? You're going to grab meat, red sauce, and the pasta, and maybe some spices. You're not going to grab chocolate. You're not going to grab cinnamon. You know, there's things you're not going to grab. Because if you put everything from the kitchen, all the ingredients into a bowl and mix it together, it tastes like crap. And nobody wants that. So when you think about creating an offer, especially like a coaching or a consulting offer, you got to say, okay, I'm going to lay out all the skills I have, all the problems I can solve, and I'm going to lay it out like an ingredient list. Then I'm going to go to the market, and I'm going to say, okay, what are people struggling with? What are people already buying? What's already selling out there? So if I take just this ingredient, just that ingredient, and just this ingredient, I can make an offer that's similar to these offers that are selling, but mine's going to be better because I have more experience, because I have a better way to explain it, because I have more case studies, because I have more this or that. But what you don't want to do is try to bundle everything into one thing, because then you're going to be putting all the ingredients in your kitchen into one bowl. It's going to taste like crap and nobody's going to want it, no matter how impressive or plentiful those ingredients are. So that's my advice there. I hope it makes sense. Question from Marok: How would you apply my epic pitch framework to physical products? Well, it's the same thing. I mean, Squatty Potty, that's a physical product. So they made it irrefutable by having the unicorn that pooped ice cream. That's entertaining. They made it irrefutable by showing images of how the intestine works and how human beings were designed to poop by squatting, and literally they showed how the intestine would line up where the poop just falls out. But when you sit like an L shape, it cuts off and it squeezes off the colon, and it makes it harder to push it out. So that's personalized. That's irrefutable. It's personalized because they made a bunch of jokes at the beginning talking about being constipated. So if you shit like a bird, last thing you're going to be thinking about is the Squatty Potty, right? You're going to be like, oh, how does this work? And then they made it clear by literally saying, look, you don't want to squat over your toilet. That would be difficult. But if you just slide this Squatty Potty underneath it, it's going to put you in the squat position, and the poop's just going to fall out. You're not going to be constipated anymore. So it hit all four of those points, and it's a physical product. So whether it's a physical product, whether it's a coaching product, a service, you can make any product, any marketing, any message, any brand entertaining, irrefutable, personalized, and clear. That's what we look to do when we help people grow their businesses and grow their brands. Okay, how can we make this entertaining? How can we make it more personalized? How can we make it irrefutable? And how can we make it clear? And if we successfully help someone do that, they can't not grow their business more than they did. Because you're not going to sit here and tell me that if what you do is more enjoyable to watch, it feels like it was made just for your client, it's inarguable, it just makes so much sense, and it's super simple to understand, you're not going to sell more. In what freaking world would you not sell more? Like, it's not possible, you know? So that's why we're so confident in what we do, because I've been doing this 13 years, and it's clear. Like, this is what makes stuff work, you know? And I didn't come up with this, by the way. I discovered this. It's like Newton's law of gravity. He didn't invent gravity. He just discovered it. I've discovered through my studies in 13 years what works. So I'm a student just as much as you are. I've just been in class a lot longer. Okay, so another question. I want to launch a coaching offer, but I don't want to do sales calls. What should my rock bottom pricing be per month? I made a quiz. Okay, so if you don't want to do sales calls and you're launching a new offer, then you either want to sell something that is like 500, 1,000, 2,000 and sell it with a 60-minute presentation done over Zoom. We call this a webinar. This works if the presentation is good. Or you can temporarily do sales calls. And here's why I hate sales calls, but I do recommend doing them in the beginning. If you do a webinar or a presentation to a sales call, even if you did 20 sales calls, you're going to learn so much about your customer and why they are or are not buying that you can go back and make that webinar better and get it to the point where now you don't need to do sales calls. Like what we do now, which is a lot, because I don't always do live presentations. I don't always do paid presentations. Sometimes I travel, I'm going to the US for a month to visit my dad. I can't always do that. So when I'm not doing these presentations to grow my business, then we do a simple application. And they fill out an application on our website. It sends a Slack message to one person on my team. It has the information. He then messages them on WhatsApp or SMS, has a chat with them, and either sells over DM or he'll possibly get on a call. If I'm not busy, then I'll do the same thing, but it'll go to my phone. And I have a business phone here. I have two phones right here. And one phone is my personal phone. One phone is my business phone. And here, as you can see, and I'll just show you right here, all of these are applications that come from my presentations. And these are people that have messaged me, and I have not done sales calls with them, but I close them on multi-thousand all the way up to $50,000 offer. And then, you know, some are obviously a lot, much less, just over text. And when they say to me, well, Dan, I want to have a call with you, I always say no, because I say, listen, you don't want to do sales calls, right? So you're asking me to do a sales call so I can teach you not to do sales calls. Now that wouldn't be very congruent, would it? But here's the thing. When you build a personal brand, the bigger the brand you get, the less people expect of you. So like, you're not going to, if you wanted to work with Tony Robbins, you're not going to expect to do a sales call with Tony Robbins, right? Like, why? Because he's a big deal. The bigger deal you become, at least in your market, the less people expect your personal attention, especially when it comes to becoming a client, okay? Everybody that I've sold personally, I've literally just talked to them over WhatsApp. And like some people are in the US, they don't have WhatsApp, and I literally say, download WhatsApp to message me, and they're fine with it. Why? Because in my content, I try to give away so much value, and I try to help people so much that before they ever message me, they're already sold, and they don't expect me to go bend over backwards. Like, it's like, look, here's what you do. Can you help or not? Okay, yep, I can help. Great, here's the options. Done, finish. All right? And the more irrefutable, the better your content is, the better your sales presentations are, the more that'll become a reality. But the less content you have, the worse your content is, the more questions people will have, and the more they'll want to talk to you because they'll want to make sure it's right for them, because you didn't cover it in your presentation, in your sales process, in your marketing. You cannot, look, marketing or sales, which is better? Marketing. Why? Because you can grow a business with a marketing department and no sales department. You can't grow a business with a sales department and no marketing department, because then the salespeople won't have everybody to talk to. So at the end of the day, marketing is there to do the most of the work, to do the heavy lifting. Sales is there just to get people to enter the credit. And sometimes that's just, hey, go to this order page, or sometimes it's a phone call, or sometimes it's somebody doing a vacuum cleaner demo in your room. But ultimately, the better the marketing, the less required sales. So if you don't want to do sales calls, you have to put every fucking ounce of energy you would have put into sales calls into having great marketing and a great brand. Because the only way you are going to completely absolve yourself of sales is to have a great brand and a great message. That's it. Otherwise, people are going to want to talk to you because they're going to want to know if it's right for them. So this is a goal you should aspire to. I'm a work from home recruiter who hates recruiting, only like asking investigative questions and qualifying people. I interview leads and qualify. Okay, that's not a question, that's a statement. Can you reframe it as a question? Because I don't know what you're asking. My question is, Dan, so would you do a mini VSL or webinar on Zoom, even to sell physical products? Yeah, so if it's a low price physical product, yeah, I would just do a short video. It could be a 2 to 5 minute video. I sell my books with 2 to 5 minute videos. But if it's like, okay, there's this bed that you put on the ground, and it's some sort of electric bed. And if you lay on it for like 15 minutes, it's supposed to recharge you and make you feel a lot better. I forget what it's called, but it's like $5,000, $10,000, some crazy amount, right? Now, I don't know if that product works or not, but if I was selling that, I would definitely use a longer presentation. I'm not going to make a 2-minute video about that and sell it for 10 grand. Now, I might be able to make a 2-minute video about it to a sales call and then sell it for 10 grand. But if I don't want to do sales calls, I'm going to need a longer presentation to get them to buy it. I'll give you an example, right? So anybody here know what Chanel is? I'm a guy, so I don't know what Chanel is until recently. Anybody know what Chanel is? But ladies, you know what Chanel is? Like Chanel bags? Is this a thing that people that don't live in Dubai know what it is? Or is that too fancy for us Americans? Because I didn't know what it was. Okay, so you know what it is, right? Okay, so it was my anniversary recently, and my wife dropped some subtle hints that she wanted this Chanel bag, and I'm thinking, okay, it's some branded bag, right? And I did not realize that a handbag could cost $13,000. That is absolutely wild, and still has blown my mind. So I go into the Chanel store and I think, you know, well, my ass is going to be sore after this, but I'll go buy her one, right? So I go in and the guy's like, do you have an appointment? And I'm like, no, I need an appointment to buy a fucking bag. And he's like, yes, you need an appointment, sir. And I'm like, okay, sure. Can I make an appointment? And I'm looking in the store, right? And there's like hardly anybody in the store. And he's like, well, we can see you in 2 hours. I'm like, I got to wait 2 hours to check out a bag? And he's like, yes, sir. Right. And I'm like, well, I said, well, fuck this. So I left, right? And because I just wasn't going to do that. So I have my driver, because in Dubai, it's very normal to have your own personal driver. It's a thing here. And so I had my driver. I said to my driver, go to the Chanel store, get an appointment or whatever, wait the 2 hours and just ask if they have the damn. They wouldn't even tell me if they had the bag. They wouldn't even tell me. I said, ask if they have the bag, if they have it in stock. So he goes there, he asks for the bag, and they say, yes, we have the bag in stock. Like all of that, just to see if the bag is in stock. And the reason for that is when you go in there, you make an appointment, then you wait, then they match you with a, what do they call it? Oh, it's so stupid. Like it's not, it's brilliant, but to me it's stupid. It's called a fashion advisor or some shit. Fucking fashion advisor. And you have to talk to the fashion advisor. And the fashion advisor does this presentation and they explain the bag and they explain all this shit that I don't care about, right? So that I can pay more than what my first car cost for a bag, right? And so I have him do that. I had him watch the webinar, and so I didn't have to. Reserve the bag, and then I took my wife there on our anniversary. We just walked right in, and I got it, right? But the reason I tell you this story is because it's a $13,000 handbag, and you don't just walk in and buy it. They make you wait. They make you book an appointment. They make you go through this presentation. They make you talk to a fashion advisor, okay? And they have great branding and great marketing. And basically the branding is you can't buy this. You're too fucking poor to buy it. So you have to wait. Like you have to be special to come in and give us stupid amounts of money for this bag, right? Absolutely brilliant. But it follows the same principles, right? So the point here is that you will find that physical product, non-physical product, it's all about the presentation. When you have made an appointment to go into this store, you had to wait, you had to talk to a fashion buyer, you kind of feel like a dick if you don't buy the damn bag, right? I just wanted to walk in and see if they had it and see how much it was. And I went through all this crap. So I was like, well, now I got to buy it. I'll look like a total jackass if I don't. So anyway, yeah, they make you fully vested before offering you the privilege of purchasing the bag for $13,000, right? And you know, me, I'm trying to explain to my wife, I'm like, baby, this is all marketing. This is what I do for a living. The bag probably costs like $50. And she does not care, by the way. Does not give a shit. Doesn't matter. She wants the bag. So I got it back. And so the irony of the situation is I made the money to buy the bag doing the same type of shit. So all comes full circle. All right, guys, I see some questions here that are not, I'm just being honest, they're not very good questions. Like they're not articulated well. I want to help you, but you got to articulate your question better. Okay. The recruiter guy, if you can just please say it. Like, I don't know what you're asking. Go to ChatGPT and say this more clear and say this more clear, and then it'll make it clearer and then paste it in because I don't know what you're asking. I have life coaching and financial literacy skills. I would like to do one-on-one public speaking gigs and digital products to sell. Great offer. What is the best effort to reward ratio and where should I start? So if you do financial literacy skills, that's a great market. I have 2 clients. One client is new and one client has been around for a while. The first client teaches young, or not young, but just Black women, stock market literacy so that they can make money. And I helped her craft a message where, look, you know, historically, the way they've controlled the Black community is by restricting knowledge. And this actually goes back thousands of years. There were certain families that would withhold knowledge, and that's how they kept people poor, right? And it's currently how the US government keeps everybody paying a lot of taxes, because if you actually knew the tax code, you wouldn't pay anywhere near as many taxes as you do. And so we crafted this whole message around it. She did 800,000 this year with webinars that I helped her polish, selling a stock trading course. But she focused on branding it as financial literacy for Black women, right? The other client I have who just recently became a financial client, she's a wealth advisor. She manages over 100 million in assets for her, you know, rich clients. And she wanted to create a financial literacy program for women. And we were able to nail that down to women who are 40 to 50 years old, who are either divorced or unmarried, and they make good money, but they don't know how to make their money make more money. And so they don't want to rely on a man to help them with their money. They want to increase their financial literacy and know what to invest in. And ultimately what that came down to was index funds, invest in index funds. But we crafted this whole thing called Queen Freedom. It's going to be a fantastic brand. I was very, very happy to work on it with her. But the point I'm trying to make here is you keep talking about what you want to do and not who you want to do it for. The who is much more important, right? This is how you craft a great message, by the who. So most people, there's been so many examples of big companies. I have a list of them actually made for a different video, and I didn't study it yet, so I can't tell you the examples, but they were companies that changed. Well, oh, I know one, Budweiser, for crying out loud. Fucking Budweiser. If you sell cheap Budweiser beer, your market, your who, is a fucking dude that wears camo pants, that listens to Jason Aldean and has a Southern accent, or at least has a truck, or, you know, something like that. Okay. You come out and make a fucking trans person the spokesperson of your product. You're a moron. I don't give a shit if you think that's progress or not. That's irrelevant. You literally took the one thing that most likely, like, when's the last time you found a good old boy that has a bunch of trans people as their best friends? I don't think so. It's just not how life works, okay? Like, we can talk about it all day long and we can discuss if it's right or wrong. Doesn't matter. It ain't how Bubba ain't hanging out with no trans people, all right? 95%, it ain't happening, all right? It's just not. So you can't sit here and tell me that that's a good idea. It's not a good idea. They literally spoke to a completely different who. Now, if they were selling, you know, like craft beer, you know, like Angry Orchard craft beer, fantastic. Have a bunch of trans and rainbow people do that. That's great. I would support that. I would write the marketing campaign for that. I put on a glitter fucking thong and dance my ass on a float for that campaign, because that's the right thing to do. But if you're selling Budweiser, it's not the right thing to do, okay? Your spokesperson should not be tucking his dick behind him talking about Budweiser. Like it's okay. So whenever you come out with an offer, you got to think who you're talking to and you got to make that offer for them. So financial literacy, great. That's amazing. That's a great offer. Who we doing it for? That's what's going to make it special. Who we doing it for? Who we doing it for? Isn't this new studio so YouTubey? Like look at the like, isn't it very YouTubey? Do you have any idea what I had to do to get it to look like this? I mean, look at this. All the cameras match. I got all this stuff going on. Boom. Okay. It costs a lot of money. Like these lenses, each of these lenses are $6,000, but I got them for like $2,000 a piece because they were used. You get used lenses, guys. Like you can imagine what you can get used. What system do $1 million brands use to structure and market their core offer? So what I do is I make everything presentation based, right? Whether I do a 60-second reel, it's a presentation. Whether I do a video, like what is this? It's a presentation, right? And then I will either take them to an application or a product page, or I will take them to another presentation. I will stack the presentations, right? So I'm not going to put anywhere near as much effort into a YouTube video as I will into a webinar, right? Like an actual sales presentation, because that's like the one that has to be like super on point. I have a client. She is a therapist that does pain management. And I worked with her. She's in our mastermind, and I worked with her to come up with a plan to market her pain management center. And so we looked at some competitors, and there's this guy, I forget his name. I think his name is Dr. Taj, and he sells this thing called the Implant. And basically what it is it's a penile enlargement device. They cut open the junk and they put a sheath over it and they make it wider, right? This is a real thing. And he's crushing it on YouTube. And so he's got all these videos where essentially he brings somebody in and he's like, okay, this is John, and John had this before he came in, and then we did the surgery, and we're going to take a look at the results in a minute. But how do you feel, John? Like, is the pain not bad? Yeah, it's great. It's the best decision I ever made. My partners love it. I have so much more confidence. Really, that's great, John. And how was the first week? You know, but well, you know, it wasn't that bad. I was actually pretty relieved that it was such blah 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 blah, and then and all that, right? Anyway. Massive amounts of millions of views on YouTube. And basically it just brings him just hundreds of clients for this, right? And I said, okay, I hate to make you watch dick videos, but look at all these hooks. Look at the way he films it in his office. Look at the titles. For one of the titles was something like 8 inches after one session or something like that. I said, look, why don't you do a YouTube title called 9 Years of Pain Reduced in 6 Sessions, right? And then you have an image for the title, for the thumbnail of you and the patient in the therapy center, right? This is modeling a different industry, but same basic industry, but different subset of the industry. So it's in the health market, right? So it's the same thing. Like, this has gone viral for somebody else. Let's make the same video, but for what we do. Okay? This is called the innovation method. Steve Jobs was the master of this. You know where he came up with the MagSafe connector, the magnetic power cord for laptops, for Apple laptops? He found in Japan that there were rice cookers that had magnetic power cords so that the kids wouldn't trip over the power cords and dump hot water on them. And he thought, wow, people trip over their laptop cords all the time, and they have to buy new laptops. They have to put their laptop in a shop for 2 weeks. Why don't I just make a magnetic power cord? So innovation is not creating something new. It's borrowing something that already works from a seemingly unrelated space and applying it to your space. So this is one thing you can do. Just look at other people who are in different or even somewhat similar spaces and recreate their content for yours, okay? Now, I think his will go a little bit more viral because of the subject matter, but this this therapist doesn't need a gazillion clients. She just needs to grow her business. Doubling or tripling your business from YouTube videos is fantastic, you know? Oh, this is a great question. So, hey, Dan, how would you market and sell a common service like real estate at scale? So here's how I would grow a real estate business if I was like an agent. First thing I would do is, and you'll see this, right? Like there's this, I saw this on Instagram. It's this, I think her name is Jenny, and she's this old Asian lady, and it's something like Jenny's Pancakes or something. So Penny's Pancakes. But what she does is she makes these viral videos where she'll have like she'll take an already viral reel that already exists, and then she'll cut her into half of it, and she'll be like, come to Jenny's Pancakes, we have the best cake, come for breakfast, right? And she'll make it funny. And she's got millions and millions of views, and she's turned her pancake house into this like destination whenever you're in whatever state she's in, okay? And so the concept here is like, if you're a real estate agent, this is one way you could like, look at all the other real estate agents. Like I'm in Dubai, there's a gazillion real estate agents. They all do the same stuff. If you're looking for a property in Dubai, look at this amazing project. It has 17 floors in the heart of Dubai, right? Everything's in the heart of Dubai. The heart of Dubai is here. The heart of Dubai is there. The heart of Dubai is there. Well, then where's the actual heart? What is it? Dubai have 50 hearts? Okay. So it's the same shit. But if you were to do something funny, okay, if you were to do something that was entertaining, you can set yourself apart. So again, look at what content is working for other real estate agents, especially real estate agents that are actually getting leads from their Instagram, from their brand, and start making it more entertaining, more personalized, more irrefutable, more clear. There's a guy from, what's his name? We help, Go Where You're Treated Best. It's on the tip of my tongue. He teaches people how to like relinquish their U.S. passports and move abroad. What the hell is the name of that company? What the hell is the name of that company? What's the guy's name? Come on, you guys know. Somebody knows here. He teaches people how to save taxes by setting up companies in other Nomad Capitalist. Thank you, Nomad Capitalist. So the guy does YouTube videos, and he basically just talks shit. Like literally, he just talks shit about countries, and it's very entertaining because he sits there with his glasses. He's like, you know, Hong Kong. I don't think I would put my money in Hong Kong anymore because you know Hong Kong's like the tax rate. Like you just don't want to do that. A better thing to do is the moon. Like if you go to the moon right now, it's a 0% tax rate. And I just think that's better, right? And it's just like cool because he's sitting there and he's telling you about like all these countries and the you know, how to hide your money and all this stuff. And then at the end, of course, he's like, now this is what we do at Nomad Capitalist. I mean, we help you set up a plan, you know, and his core phrase, his principal phrase to his brand is go where you're treated best. It's his whole brand. It's his whole thing in one sentence, go where you're treated best. Because his whole thing is, hey, America is not treating you good. And they're not. And look, here's another thing that'll help you build $1 million brand, creating a villain for your brand. Your audience hates something. You got to hate it too, and you got to talk shit about it too. Because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So having a villain. So in the Nomad Capital example, the villain is the American tax system, right? Or even for that case, any Western tax system. Because like imagine, I'm an American, right? Now I want you to imagine for a moment. I grow up, my grandfather says to me, son, he was Southern, son, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything you want. You can be whatever you want. Now, I was smart enough to listen to that advice, right? And then everybody talks about the American dream. All the politicians, oh, the American dream, where It's the land of opportunity. Oh, really? So then when I actually make $1 million and I took advantage of that dream and I took advantage and I seized that opportunity, you want half of it. Really? Really? It's a bullshit. Okay? Go achieve this dream so that we can take half of your dream. All right? So what's his nuts from Nomad Capitalist knows this. So he knows that the government is the enemy. It's the villain. And so he creates his whole phrase around his brand, go where you're treated best. Basically saying America, UK, whatever it is, they're not, Australia, they have crazy high taxes. They're not treating you well anymore. They're not, it's like if you had a girlfriend and she was great in the beginning, and then all of a sudden she became toxic, complaining and bitching every day and telling you how terrible you are. And then one day you're like, I'm not treated very well. I think I need to move on and get a different girlfriend. That's common sense, right? So what he's saying is, hey, why don't you just leave the US, go live somewhere, or leave UK or leave Australia, go somewhere else, set up your business somewhere else, and you'll be treated better there. It's such a simple, see how simple it is? It's irrefutable. It's simple. His videos are entertaining, and it's personalized because it's personalized to the person that pays too much in taxes. Beautifully designed brand. I'm sure he had a lot of help with it. And in real estate, you can do the same thing. You can literally do the same thing, right? Like, what's the villain? It depends on who you're trying to go after. Are you going after real estate investors? Are you going after people who are looking for cheap rent? Are you going after people who want to create an Airbnb empire? Like, who's your niche? Who's your who? So this is what you start thinking about. Okay, well, who's the villain in this? Who's the this and the that, right? So if I was selling off-plan properties or what we call pre-construction properties, I might say something like, look, the banks are going to charge you a crazy interest rate. And then if anything happens, they're going to seize your house and this and that. But here's the great thing about off-plan. Off-plan, you pay as they build. You pay a little bit now, a little bit more later, and you pay as they construct. So this allows you to make payments over time, not have to pay any interest, not have to deal with a bank, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's always ways to frame it like this, okay? I'm treated best on Dan's Live. That's why I show up. Okay, I'm gonna do like 2 more questions. And guys, keep in mind, I try to answer as many questions as I can, but if you wanna work with me and my team, seriously, I will help you. I love doing this stuff. This stuff is like all I nerd out about. And I love doing it for other people. I love helping people who are good at what they do build a brand and a business that makes them known for it and makes them a lot of money so they can take care of their family. And I've just realized that you will never be broke if you know what to say. And knowing what to say is literally the key. And that's what I help people do. Build offers, marketing, and systems that just makes them the king shit in their space. Like, that's what it is. So I leave a description or a link in the description where you can apply. It's a few questions, just apply. And my team will be happy to shoot you over some options and what we think is best for you. Okay, here's a better question. So I enjoy discovery, asking questions, and qualifying, not recruiting. I am a recruiter. What consulting offer or niche fits this? Who is my avatar? Okay, that's a better question. So here's the thing. There's rules to the game. You might not like the rules. The rules are you need to create an offer people want to buy, not an offer that you want to sell. This is the biggest death trap in this business is do not try to sell what you want to sell. Find things that are selling, find things that people are buying, and then say, okay, which one of these do I most align with? So here's what I would do if I were you. I would go and I would look up offers that are selling that require the skills that you have. So for instance, you're a recruiter, right? Well, just off the top of my head, you could easily sell a hiring program for a certain type of business, right? Like I have one client who actually sells that exact thing. He sells how to hire restaurant employees. He sells an offer to restaurants on how to hire the right restaurant employee, okay? This is, it's a hiring program. So you could sell this to corporate companies, you could sell it to restaurants, you could sell it to gosh, there's just so many businesses that you could sell it to. And you don't sell recruiting. You don't sell how to be a recruiter. You could sell how to be a recruiter, but you could sell a hiring, right? Or, I mean, God, there's so many ways you could do it. There's a lot of potential there. But ultimately, who am I helping? So it's 4 P's, okay? There's 4 P's to creating an offer. It's really simple, guys. And if you know this, you will pretty much have what you need to have. So I'm going to answer a bunch of questions in this one shot here. All right. So 4 P's. So you have the person. This is your who. This is who you are serving. This is who you are helping. You have the problem. This is the problem you are helping them solve. Then you have the process. The process is not your product. The process is your approach, your methodology, how you actually solve the problem. And then your product is the thing that helps them actually use the process. So again, your person, the person you're trying to attract, has a problem. Now, you have some way to solve the problem, some sort of process, okay? But in order to use the process, you need to have a product, all right? So for instance, you are a business owner, or you're someone with a skill that wants to create an online business, right? You're what I call the invisible expert. You're an expert in something, but you're not known for it and you're not making a ton of money off of it. You have a problem. You don't know how to package and sell your expertise at scale and grow your business through the internet, through social media content, okay? I have a process that will help you solve that problem, which is creating a sales presentation and building a brand around that so that people can watch that sales presentation and buy your stuff. And the brand gets the attention, right? So we help you get attention, turn that attention into money, right? So for me, this right here is sales presentations, which I literally think all content is a sales presentation. What I'm doing right now is a sales presentation. My reels are sales presentations. My webinars are sales presentations. My speeches are sales presentations. Everything is a sales presentation in my eyes. So our products help you actually create and use these, whether it's our personal brand intensive that helps you create great content that builds your brand and gets leads and makes you known, whether it's our sales presentation done for you or mastermind that actually will build you a sales presentation that when you send people to it, they will buy you stuff, or whether it's my VIP day where you spend a day with me and I mentor you personally. All of these products, they all help you with the process to solve the problem for you, the person. Okay, this is it. 4 P's. All you got to do is, who's my person? What's my problem that I'm helping them solve? What's the process that I help, or the process that I'm showing them how to solve the problem? By the way, this is marketing. Marketing is a constant, never-ending effort to show how the process works. That's what this is. So when Mindvalley sold hundreds of millions of dollars in a mindset course, the process was the Silva method, right? And how to achieve an alpha state. So all of his sales presentation, all of his marketing was all about how to achieve an alpha state. If you can achieve, or theta, whatever, theta state, okay? If you can achieve that state, you can have all your dreams in life and you can use the law of attraction, blah, 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 right? Okay, great. Well, you want to be able to actually do that faster, actually execute on that? Well, buy the Mindvalley course, Jose Silva thing, whatever, right? Boom. Okay. So you got 2 options here. You can figure out your person, your problem, your process, use this process in your marketing, talk about this constantly, and then say, hey, if you want help, we have a product to help you use this process. All right. The book Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, 8-figure company off of a book. What's the book about? The book is about a group of Navy SEALs who learned leadership skills being in the Navy SEALs. Wrote a book called Extreme Ownership. What's the concept? If you want to lead in business, you need to use the leadership skills we learned in the military. And it all revolves around one thing: taking extreme ownership of everything. Basically saying, to a degree, everything is your fault. And when you do that, you're able to solve problems that most people can't solve because they always blame others and blah, blah, blah. It sounds simple, but they sell $5,000 seminars that they go all over the country. They hold these seminars, and people that read the book, which the book is a sales presentation, they end up buying the $5,000 seminar, build an 8-figure company out of that. Okay? So in this case, for Leif Babin and Jocko Willink, the person is a corporate leader. The problem is they can't get their employees to do what they want. The process is extreme ownership. The product is their $5,000 seminar so that they can actually master extreme ownership. Okay? Now, watch this. This is a 4-piece framework. That's a process. You can go use this on your own, or you can click the link included with the video, apply, and my team and I will help you come up with your person, your problem, your process, your product. See what I did there? Same thing. I'm showing you guys how to do it by doing it, okay? So, all right, 2 more questions. Paul Richard says, I want to help entrepreneurs with their mindset, overcoming limiting beliefs so that they can stop avoiding important work. So again, the biggest trap, and I see you said it all seems a bit wishy-washy. It is wishy-washy because you're starting with I want to, okay? That means it's an offer you want to sell, not an offer that you found in the market. So you don't want to help entrepreneurs with their mindset. And by the way, the word mindset is tough, okay? You want to help them solve a problem. Why do they need? So what it sounds like is overcoming limiting beliefs so they can stop avoiding important work. It sounds like you're helping entrepreneurs become more productive. And then the process to becoming more productive is to show them that they have limiting beliefs that are telling them that they won't actually succeed at important work, so they do unimportant work to feel productive, something like that. And then they buy your productivity system to get over those beliefs, whatever. Like that's, I'd have to dig more deep into it, but that's sort of the direction I would head. But one thing I would do is I would research what other offers are selling in that market and how you can put your own unique spin on it. But you still have to start with a person, a problem, a process, and a product, because all winning offers have those 4 things. They all have those 4 things. Period. End of story. You will not find. One second. I just realized this stopped recording. So 1 second. Okay. My local stopped recording. Anyway, you will not find a winning offer that doesn't have one of those 4 things, period. Okay? All right, last question. Dan, please quick feedback from you on this offer. I teach you how to create your life vision till the end of life, which then enables you to know what you need to start doing today and every day. No, because, and I'll give you, by the way, thank you, Tammy, for loving the new studio. I love it too. So, no, that's not good. And I'll tell you why, and I want to help you. When you say, I teach you how to create your life vision, you're starting with a process, the life vision, not, you're not starting with the actual problem. Okay, you need to start with the problem, period. Like that's what you need to start with. So you got to define a problem. Like if you're a blank and you struggle with blank, I'm going to show you how to get rid of that problem through this process. So you're saying, I teach you how to create your life. I teach you how to do process. You're not defining who you're teaching, and you're not defining what the problem is. You're going right to the process. The process doesn't mean anything unless you have a person and a problem. Okay? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So think about that, and then Dan Henry, bro, your bleeding neck offer, or your bleeding neck video blows my mind. My offer sucks before that. Yeah, that was a great, man, I could do this for hours, but I'm gonna not, because I've been on here for what, 2 hours now, and I gotta go. My wife's probably like, what is this guy doing? Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm gonna cut this video up, make it a little bit more concise, and release it as an actual YouTube video so you guys can enjoy it. Bada bing. All right. Okay, cool. Thank you guys for attending so much. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're watching my Instagram. I'm going to be putting out tons of fire content. I did not build this studio to not put out more content. Dan, what's the biggest difference from Epic Pitch Mastermind and the personal brand intensive? So I could sit here and explain it all, but if you apply, we're going to send you some Google Docs that'll explain it. But basically, the personal brand intensive is designed to help you build a personal brand and get attention, get the right leads from social media, and become trusted, build massive trust. Okay. Whether you're starting a business or you have an existing business, it's going to help you just become a big deal. And it's going to help you basically get leads, attention, sales for free. And just makes sales so much easier. The Epic Pitch Mastermind is a year-long program where you work with me and my team. You get the personal brand intensive included, but you also get all of my best high-level sales trainings, operations, systems, AI. We have an entire AI system only for people in the mastermind that help them build presentations for like long form, all that. Plus, as a bonus to that, we have a done for you webinar service. We throw that in as well. So we write you a webinar to get you started. And then we help you with longer form content, paid presentations, traffic, ads, like the whole thing, right? And there's regular calls with me, with my team. I take a look at your stuff. Like imagine this call, but you're actually speaking to me over voice. And there's like a fraction of the people on the call versus this. And I spend time with you, right? So that's the mastermind. So I basically stick with you and help grow your business for a year. So we have multiple options. Just apply in the description and we'll be happy to send it over to you so you can see the differences, all that. Okay. Go be with your wife before she makes you buy 10 bags. Bro, I need 10 webinars. All right, guys. Thank you all so much. Appreciate y'all. Peace out.